Hey guys, it's Derek, and I just want to take a brief, kind of like introduction to the newly introduced Imprint circuit and kind of the best use cases of it. So this new mechanic basically lets you take 5 units of your choice to enhance in player versus environment content PvE, and I think the best use case for it is front load on damage, front load on health, and work towards these nodes. Like, I think the best node for me would be the increased crit damage capped by 50%, because that's kind of the most useful one when doing early game PvE content, where you're trying to just get the damage off, you're trying to get the damage up so you can take out bosses, etc. This cannot be used in PvP content, so don't try to put this on your Guild War defense units or arena defense units. But basically, you have these nodes, and as you progress, they basically increase the base stats of a select character. So you get more HP, more defense as you progress. And then there's final nodes, which will basically increase effectiveness, etc. When damaged, take 5% less damage. I don't really believe that's a good one, but I think crit damage and the effectiveness one really helps in kind of early game progression, and just the overall base stats are help with early game progression. But as a veteran player, that like if you're a veteran player like me, I would not recommend using the system, because this is mainly more for helping people who are struggling. Like, maybe let's say like you make a new account and you just don't get good characters for early game and you don't get good gear. This will help you like alleviate maybe gear problems and like unit specific problems for certain content in the game, just so your progression doesn't get as halted as much, and it feels like you're stunted in the growth of your account for like a certain amount of time. I think that's this system's good for that, and they've kind of polished it in a way where it's mainly for PvE, but I think they need to update it, maybe release a new circuit to kind of make it more redeeming for veteran players in late game PvE, as I see no real reason for it as for myself, but I can see the reason for new players using this. Um, I'd say the only stats to avoid as a new player is effectiveness, uh, and ER. I don't think ER really matters when you're trying to do early game content. You just want HP, defense, and attack. There's some crit damage nodes which I recommend as well. I think that might be really strong. But outside of the crit damage nodes, there's not any other nodes other than attack, HP, and defense that you want on your characters. I think this system's pretty straightforward. Using Fade mana crystals and Radiant mana crystals, which you receive from S rank as well as from going into the milestone of Radiance, which you can get from the shop for an insane amount of coins, which personally I think is really wrong. They should uh, either refund people who bought this, as they were kind of led to believe this would be PvP oriented when it was released, and it ended up not being PvP oriented, and a lot of people bought this because it was forced them to use it in PvP. So hopefully they'll do something to compensate those players, but outside of that, uh, you're starting a new account, you get a lot of coins. This is an okay investment in my opinion. It's not as good as the equipment or the bottle of knowledge or the unknown slate or this necklace or ring. But if you already got that stuff and you have nothing to really spend it on, go for it if you're struggling in PvE content. But that's basically the entire imprint circuit. I don't think there's much more to be said, so I'll see you guys later.